Good day, everyone. Welcome to this webcast on defeating demurrage and detention with data, sponsored by Ocean Insights. I'm joined today by Josh Brazil, COO of Ocean Insights, which is a innovative container tracking and container visibility platform, and also by Angela Czajkowski, who is the Director of Supply Chain for Shapiro, a freight forwarder who's been in the industry since 1915. Can you believe that? And also by Amir Rashad, who is the CEO of Centersource, which is an end-to-end logistics automation platform. Today we are here to talk about two terms dreaded by almost all who hear it. It's called demurrage and detention. Probably two of the terms that tops the list of controversial charges levied by shipping lines on customers. While many shipping lines consider demurrage and detention a necessary evil, importers and exporters around the world may beg to differ. This panel will discuss some of the reasons due to which demurrage and detention may be incurred. Main reasons so far has been delays in documentation, which is the key area where these issues are happening. Some of it is also due to late receipt of documents. Some of it is due to the loss of documents, which is a huge issue as well. And sometimes demurrage and detention could be caused due to customs clearance or cargo inspection, those kind of activities that are done by the statutory authorities at the port of discharge, which obviously the shipping line has no control over. Or in a lot of cases, the consignee or the receiver is just not reachable. These delays affects various parties in the supply chain in different ways. Carriers, for example, are unable to use the containers because the container still has the cargo inside it. And as long as the cargo is inside there, they cannot use it. A container, if it doesn't move, it does not generate revenue for the owner of the container. And that is a huge issue for a shipping line. For the importers, these delays or these costs could be so prohibitive at some stage that it could go over the value of the goods itself. And in some cases, they end up abandoning the cargo. And forwarders sometimes get the short end of the stick when there is cargo abandonment because they book the cargo with the shipping line and the shipping line holds them liable. And there's various cases on whether who is right and who's wrong in these kind of scenarios. The real impact is the cost, because the cost is quite prohibitive, and depending on the port, it could vary from $5 to $200 per day per container. And that is quite a challenging task for many, many customers. For example, a container has 5 free days within which the customer must take delivery and return the empty after it is unpacked. If the container stays inside the terminal or the port for more than 5 days, then, for example, as per the carrier's tariff, there is a demurrage charge of $200 per 20 foot, for example. And if the container stays there for 10 days on demurrage, and this customer has 10 containers. So you can imagine the cost. It works out to a whopping $20,000 on a single shipment. And naturally, this is a serious cause for concern to many of the customers. And this is what this panel will discuss and see how, through the effective use of technology and various methods, these costs can be reduced. Angela, I would like to start with you. Can you tell us a bit about your background and the business so the audience can get a feel of where you're coming from and what your perspective is in this whole discussion?
We're a service provider, and regardless of our specific role in a transaction, we feel it's always our responsibility to provide last free day information to our customers. So knowing that every contract, every carrier, every terminal is different, managing the various combinations of free time on both equipment and within the terminals, it's a real challenge. And so for us, it's about staying on top of that information and ensuring that we are providing our customer base with the most current last free day info. And again, that last free day can be different from terminal and carrier to terminal and carrier.
Great. So tell us about some of the impacts that demurrage and detention has had on your operation. How big has it been, and how much of a problem it is?
I think the greatest challenge in managing demurrage and detention, it really does center on the management of that last free day. And the challenge with that The top challenge is the labor requirement to track down last free day information for the terminal and the carrier based on the contract. And that's a combination of some websites, some emails, some phone calls. And so it's ensuring that we can get our individuals access to the right information, and it comes in different forms from different parties. And because there are so many different contracts potentially in play, for us, it's about profiling as much as we can, but truly relying on that double check, because the risk and cost associated when something is missed is pretty impactful. If we miss a last free day, or if we misinform someone as to a last free day, not only does that create a cost cycle, so it adds the days, you've got the cost that you must now pay in advance. And if you don't catch that in time, it just continues to grow on you. It's also then the disruption to efficient processes. It's getting ahead of that problem. It's understanding the root cause and what happened. So for us, truly, there's a lot of labor around managing it. And if it's not done really well, then it grows quickly.
And how do you think data would help with these issues that you have mentioned in streamlining our operations and also saving costs for yourself?
In all cases, we rely on data to streamline our operations, to remove manual keystrokes, to create efficient processes, and really to inform our customers. That is at the absolute heart of what we are as a service provider. Our customers rely on us to provide information about their cargo, and in many cases, about their overall supply chain. We see analytics growing and expanding and evolving in such a remarkable way. And as the requirement for analytics grows and becomes more important for our customers and within our competitive landscape and space, the data gathered is providing the foundation for essential pieces of supply chain management. So with that in mind, it's gaining access to data, but also having a high confidence level in the information we're receiving. There are so many parties in supply chain management. When you actually list out the number of entities that are involved in any transaction, it's finding a way to centralize all of the information and then checking to ensure that we have a good process to use that information. It's really become at the heart of what we do.
If you have to choose one best practice that you would employ to deal with demurrage and detention, what would that be based on your practical experience?
If I had to name one best practice that we employ, I would likely say that it's a manual cross-check for now. And I say that because I don't think anyone who's in this space wants to necessarily be having manual overrides. But I do think that it's important that when something looks strange or off, or when you don't have that confidence level or that certainty, that I do think checking to ensure that although we know what the calculation should be, there are always exceptions. And then I think when we miss, when something misses or there's a misfire, as we said, that it leads to storage, which begets storage if not cleared quickly. So I think that for us, it's been this sort of manual check. But I would say that if I could say what should the best practice be, I think it's aligning your data integrations to get that information into your system in a really clear and complete way. So I think the ideal is that all parties, terminals, carriers, truckers, service providers like customs brokers and freight forwarders, are all talking and sharing correct information in a really streamlined way, so that we all are on the same page and understand what a true last free day is at both a terminal or with equipment.
And how has Ocean Insights, or rather has Ocean Insights platform helped you handle these issues and tackle these problems and create that value for you? What has been your experience?
We've been working with Ocean Insights for at least 5 years, I believe, maybe even longer. For us, their API integration is exactly what we need to create visibility for our teams and our customers. So as wonderful as their platform, their system, their dashboards, and the evolution of their tools has been truly remarkable. For us, it's their willingness to integrate that information into our systems that we really rely on, because we provide that visibility then out to both our internal teams or our operating staff, and then also to our customers. And then for us, that becomes part of our analytics platform. So our experience with Ocean Insights as they continue to evolve is that our relationship too must continue to evolve so that we're getting the most that we can from the tool.
And in terms of future expectations, do you think that the platform is meeting all your current expectations, or there are some enhancements or improvements that can be done in due course? And are you looking forward to those?
I would hope that as we see the platform continue to evolve, that our integrations continue to evolve with it, and that we can take further advantage of the information they're making available to us. Talking about the Ocean Insights Detention and Demurrage dashboard that they've created, and understanding for us that's the next step, is how do we take advantage of that kind of tool to give our customers and our internal teams greater visibility.
Okay, great. Thanks for those inputs.
Thank you for having me.
Amir, can you briefly introduce what Centersource is? What does an end-to-end automation platform mean, or what does that do? I mean, there are many fancy words these days, but can you elaborate a bit on that, please?
So Centersource is digitizing global trade and logistics. And what we have built is a multilingual supply chain collaboration platform, which automates the processes between exporters, forwarders, and importers. So what we offer is a wide array of intelligent tools. So we have modules for export-import, logistics, documentation, tracking, compliance, and analytics. And when they are all integrated, it allows the tools to become intelligent. And then by that, you can automate the workflow between them.
And in your opinion, what are the main drivers of or causes of demurrage and detention? What are some of the main ingredients of that?
In my opinion, it happens because of two reasons. Firstly, poor planning. You don't know the schedules of when different things are supposed to happen, not only of the freight, but also the responsibilities. But then on the other hand, the visibility of not only the freight, but also the processes happening. So everything from where is the cargo, what changes have occurred, and what are the different maybe banking deadlines for the deal. And because these two prior to the deal or the shipment, and then during the shipment maybe aren't as optimized as they should be, I think this is actually why it occurs.
And in your opinion, what are the main drivers of or causes of demurrage and detention? What are some of the main ingredients of that?
So this is something that we have thought about extensively, and because we're from the forestry industry, which is relatively low commodity value, but a very, very high volume industry with shipments essentially to all over the world. This is a very normal matter to companies in the forestry industry, which is where our journey started, actually. So what we have built and what we want and the way we see it from our industry's perspective is that firstly, you need to know what you're booking. How long is this freight journey going to take or expected to take? And then also you need to monitor the journey whilst the shipment is live. And then in parallel to all this, you also need to automate the document drafting. And also finally, of course, also track the compliance of all the other processes, not only drafting the documents, but issuing them, sending them, ensuring the payments are done, that everything is as it should be. So that when the goods arrive, everything that should have been done is actually done. And combined, these four things actually are, in our opinion, the most important to proactively do everything in your own power to avoid demurrage and detention.
How do you think technology can help clients with their logistical requirements? Which are some of the key areas or main areas there?
So what we believe is that the role of technology today in global trade should increase efficiency, transparency, and accountability. But it should also reduce man hours spent per deal, whilst also reducing potential errors that have historically occurred. For example, mismatching documents with one document says 100,001, whilst the other one says with dot instead. And of course, for a customs authority or for a bank, that little small difference can be more than enough to block the entire shipment. So, in our opinion, to really harness the power of technology, visibility is very important, but it needs to be combined with many different other things. And among those are smart payment terms, that a tool which measures and knows, regardless if it's cash against documents or LC, knows what are the deadlines that are going to occur in your supply chain. And if a milestone changes, that the deadline changes with it. This is the first one, I think, in my opinion. Secondly, you need automated document drafting for all your documents, from the bill of lading, the phytosanitary, or the veterinary, the Euro 1, the certificate of origin, plus of course for the letter of credit. And when all documents are generated from the same data set, it reduces the chance for errors. Thirdly, we also believe that electronic documents, for example, with integration to chambers of commerce or various institutions, is also very important, because then it reduces your reliance on physical documents or physical assets, but also it doesn't make you dependent on, for example, DHL. And like we saw similar to what happened in India I think in March or April, DHL and UPS and all these large companies, they refused to deliver documents, which caused a lot of importers' cargo to count demurrage and detention in Navasheva and Mundra ports.
And how does Centersource help in avoiding demurrage and detention, and also for your customers, and how much of usage do you get out of Ocean Insights platform?
So we found actually Ocean Insight just by searching on Google for ocean freight visibility or track container, I believe. And since the very early days, they have been extremely helpful, whilst we were still a early prototype or building our MVP to help us so that we could prove to our investors and customers what power our product actually has. Because I believe that we actually make a very, very good collaboration, because Ocean Insight is hyper-focused on ocean freight visibility, whilst we're hyper-focused on creating tools that automate the processes between colleagues, but also counterparties, which ocean freight visibility, of course, ties in perfectly with for global trade. So together, actually, we cover the entire deal lifecycle. And the collaboration has been very, very positive. And we use from them multiple tools, namely the schedules, so that we can see the available routes on different journeys. We can see also the blank sailing analytics, how reliable are different ocean lines on different routes, and then also, of course, the container tracking. So I believe actually combined, our functionality with that of Ocean Insight is a game changer for supply chain technology, simply because it suddenly covers end-to-end, and it allows all parties in the transaction to collaborate with each other automatically, which previously has not been possible. They have a very clear API with good documentation, so it's quite easy actually to just essentially plug it in and start fetching the data which you need.
Okay, now we go to our sponsor, Josh. Nice to have you. I just wanted to check, as a solution provider, it is quite impressive that you're able to assist customers like Shapiro or Centersource in avoiding or controlling demurrage and detention by providing visibility for their shipments. But before we dive into these solutions, can you give a few details about who is Ocean Insights? When was it started, or when was it formed, and the reason for its formation? A little bit of history, if you may.
So Ocean Insights was founded in 2012. The founder was working for a major freight forwarder at the time, and his job was basically to do the container tracking. And what he found is that they were manually searching carrier websites, finding out the container's position, perhaps its last update, and entering that into an Excel table, emailing that Excel table to different departments, telephoning, coordinating with other departments. And of course, that's a very time-consuming process. People are still doing that today for the most part as well. But he thought there's got to be a better way. So that was the seed idea for Ocean Insights, where he started consolidating that carrier information onto one platform, standardizing the data, and then everything else kind of followed after that. We added AIS live vessel tracking data after that, geofencing, predictive algorithms. We added news feeds, alerting. And so really the whole system is actually built around exception management. So, if you're a big shipper, you don't want to look at every single container perhaps, you want to look at the exceptions. So the ones that are going to perhaps give you problems. So our system is built around that. It's time saving. You can focus your time on the potential issues that may cause delays and be proactive about it. So that's how Ocean Insights came about. And still a lot of customers in the industry are facing the same problem today. So we're still working on it and improving the system as we go along.
And how has the progress been since inception? How has the growth been? Have you grown, and is it more organic? And where are you at present with in terms of the growth prospects and the future?
Okay, well, I started here about 3 years ago, and when I started, we had about 20 people altogether. We now have over 70. We're based in Europe, North America, and Asia. And basically, we service large BCOs, freight forwarders, and software integrators. So we're still growing a lot. There's still a lot of potential in the market. And, it's been a bit fast growth rate over the past 3 years, but we're in a good spot now, and feeling that there's lots of progress, especially right now with Corona going on. We're finding that a lot of shippers are looking to digitize their processes even faster than they were previously. So there's a lot of demand out there for this. Who
are some of your typical customers, and what type of services do you provide? Is it strictly container tracking, or there are other modules or other services that you provide for these customers?
So our typical customer segments are BCOs or shippers, freight forwarders, MBOCCs, and software integrators. So those are really our three kind of main categories. Really anybody with large amounts of containers that they're shipping is somebody who would want our solution. So we have two products. We have Container Track and Trace, which is a container track and trace tool. This is the exception management tool. And we also have sailing schedules. So some clients want both. They want just one or the other. Sailing schedules is more used for planning purposes or business intelligence. Whereas the Container Track and Trace tool is really for real-time operational applications.
And from a platform point of view, what are the main concerns that customers raise with you in terms of demurrage and detention? What sort of solutions do they seek from you, for example?
The main concern is obviously the cost of demurrage and detention, and that arises from a lack of visibility, where those fees come from and what you can do about them. So when we started this, we started, to be able to notice, hey, we can measure how long a container is sitting in the port of discharge. We can measure that. We've created some dashboards to help them do that. So really, it's for them. It would be a proactive effort on their part to use the data that's available within the Ocean Insights platform to take advantage of that and clear those containers as much as possible.
Well, that's some interesting problems. And does Ocean Insights have the tools and solutions that to help all these problems, to help the customers with all these problems?
So we essentially have two tools that customers can use. One is really a short-term planning tool, and one's a long-term planning tool. So the first tool is basically a dashboard that we have on the CTT, Container Track and Trace platform. And with this dashboard, it's basically, you can see containers that are at the port of discharge, and how long they've been in the port, 3, 6, 9, or 12 days. So this gives you a list of all the ports, which containers are at them, how long they've been there. We also have a second one, which basically gives you the delivery or return out containers. So you can also see which containers are out on delivery or return. So for both sides, demurrage and detention, you can get an overview of basically where the hot spots are, and see where you can call in, take action, and try to get those containers cleared as fast as possible. The second one is really a kind of a long-term planning tool, and basically what we offer is clients really a customized report on free time optimization. So if your negotiation rates for free time optimization, you'll want to know which ports are trouble ports for you, which ones are not trouble ports. What we find that this is especially applicable for is large organizations, so large multinational companies, because we found that they have basically an issue where the headquarters might have no visibility into what they're doing, but their regional departments do. So what their regional departments will do is vie for the most free time at their ports that they're working on. But this may not be the optimal, scenario for the entire organization. So what we do is we basically gather all of their free time data, and then run that across what their actual demurrage and detention fees were, if they can provide us with their fees, and the actual container layover times for the course of a year, for example. So what this does is this shows them where their peaks are, and where they basically need to be putting their free time at. We've had a lot of clients come to us, and we've seen this a lot of times where they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on demurrage and detention fees over the year. In some cases, it gets in the millions. So it's a really big chunk of cash that you can potentially start saving on and optimize. For the customers where we have done this optimization reports, they've reported 35 to 65% savings on demurrage and detention by using both the web app application and the free time optimization. So really, it's kind of a twofold tool where you can act in real time on what's going on, and then you can use the report for planning purposes, for long-term planning. So we really feel it's a good combination, and we'd like to see it rolled out more.
What is in the future for Ocean Insights? Are there any more products in the pipeline, that some new developments, new technologies that might be coming up perhaps?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I mean, we're really focusing at the moment on deploying these two solutions. We want to get out there and educate the market on what's possible. I don't think a lot of people know that this is available or possible, so we're really just focusing on this right now. Of course, in the future, I could imagine automating some of this, perhaps automating the report if clients are able to, deliver their free times or their fees to us. That could be something we could look at in the future, for sure.
Well, as you can see and heard, and also from my practical experience and from various customers around the world, I know that demurrage and detention are definitely avoidable costs. And if in case you cannot avoid, these costs is something that can be managed and controlled through the use of data points available through platforms like Ocean Insights. And as you have seen, there are quite a lot of information that is provided by Ocean Insights. And these data points or this data flow is very, very important, especially for customers who have had the bitter experiences with regards to this high value that they had to pay in terms of demurrage and detention. I mean, in practical terms, after all, it is your data based on the shipments that you have been carrying or you've been shipping, and so you should not feel shy to use those data to create better efficiencies in your business and also to save costs while you're at it. I like to say thank you to Josh, Angela, and Amir for the very interesting points raised and discussed here, and also for showing that there is showing customers that there is a solution for these avoidable costs, and it's not just any technology platform that doesn't know what it is doing. I mean, we've got live examples of verifiable information from key customers like Shapiro and Centersource. So thank you to Josh, Angela, and Amir again, and thank you to all the listeners of this webcast, and hope you guys have had a good understanding of the solutions that are available in the industry and try and use it. Thank you again.